The deepest compassion can hold the greatest paradox. Why did the Buddha point us not to himself, but to a distant light? The answer might change everything you thought you knew about salvation. Why our original teacher recommended Amitabha Buddha. One cannot be born in that land with few good roots, merits, or causes. This is a familiar line from the Amitabha Sutra, one we've all heard. It tells us that to be reborn in the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss, we need deep roots of goodness and profound merits. Yet, my dear friends, have you ever quietly pondered what seems like a contradiction? The one who taught the Dharma and guided beings in our world was our original teacher, Sakyamuni Buddha. But countless devotees with sincere hearts chant the name and yearn for another Buddha, one who resides 10 trillion Buddha lands away, Amitabha Buddha.
One is our guide in this very life. The other is the Lord of a distant Pure Land. Why wouldn't our original teacher ask us to remember him? Instead, why would he so painstakingly, tirelessly, and with such sincerity recommend the home of another Buddha to us? What kind of compassionate promise, stretching across countless eons and realms, is hidden within this? Today, let's journey back to the distant past together. Let's listen to the Buddha's own words, telling that grand primordial narrative of creation. If you're curious about this unspoken understanding between Buddhas, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Let's explore this supreme and profound wisdom together.
It was on Vulture Peak. The Buddha had just concluded a profound Dharma assembly. Devas and humans were still immersed in the joy of the Dharma, reluctant to disperse. At that moment, Ananda, the Venerable One who always followed the Buddha most closely and listened to his teachings the most, rose from his seat. He adjusted his robes, walked respectfully to the Buddha, knelt on both knees, put his palms together, and asked. Venerable Ananda's voice was clear, yet tinged with a hint of bewilderment. Compassionate world-honored one, you are the only guide in our world, in our era. You are like the bright moon rising in the long night, illuminating our path forward. Your disciples listen to your teachings as thirsty travelers find sweet springs.
But a question has always lingered in my heart. Among the 84,000 Dharma doors you have expounded, why do you always, repeatedly, tirelessly praise and extol that Amitabha Buddha in the Western world? And why do you painstakingly urge us to make a vow to be reborn in his land called Sukhavati, ultimate bliss? Can't our world become your pure land? Or is there a deeper layer of compassion and secret meaning here that we, your ordinary disciples, cannot comprehend? Venerable Ananda's voice echoed through the mountains. A profound silence fell upon the assembly. This question struck a chord in everyone's hearts. Yes, our beloved original teacher was right before us. Yet why did he urge us to long for a Buddha in a distant land?
Sakyamuni Buddha listened, and an infinitely kind and contented smile appeared on his face. That smile seemed to encompass the boundless past, present, and future. He looked at Ananda and at every perplexed disciple in the assembly, his gaze warm and profound, and slowly began to speak. With that opening, our thoughts were transported back to a past so distant that it couldn't be measured in years. The Buddha said, "Ananda, you have asked well. The causes and conditions within this are extremely profound and vast. Today, I will explain it to you in detail." The Buddha's voice seemed to possess a power that silenced all of Vulture Peak. He said, "In the immeasurable, inconceivable countless eons of the distant past, a Buddha appeared in the world. His name was Lokesvara Raja Buddha. In the era when that Buddha dwelled in the world, there was a king. This king possessed everything a worldly person could imagine. Vast lands, countless subjects, inexhaustible wealth, and supreme power. However, when he was fortunate enough to hear Lokeshvara Raja Buddha teach the Dharma, his inner being underwent an earth-shattering transformation. He suddenly realized that all the glory and wealth he possessed were nothing but illusory bubbles, destined to vanish. He saw his subjects, and indeed all sentient beings, endlessly cycling through the immense suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death, finding no way out. An unprecedented awakening, like lightning, struck his heart.
So, he made a decision that shocked his entire kingdom. He would abandon his royal throne, relinquish all his wealth and power, and follow Lokeshvara Raja Buddha to become a monastic. After he left home, his Dharma name was Dharmakara, store of Dharma. At this point, the Buddha paused slightly, then continued. You must understand that Dharmakara Bhikkhu's renunciation was not an escape, as ordinary people might think. On the contrary, it was a greater, braver undertaking. He wasn't trying to find peace for himself alone. He was seeking an ultimate path that could thoroughly save all suffering beings.
After becoming a bhikkhu, Dharmakara, with his extraordinary wisdom, observed the countless worlds in the universe. What did he see? He saw that many, many worlds, just like ours, were defiled environments, with treacherous human hearts, filled with greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. In Buddhism, these are called the 5 turbidities and evil eras. In such worlds, it is incredibly difficult for sentient beings to practice. It's like an infant trying to learn to walk, yet deliberately placed on the edge of a cliff full of thorns and traps. Even if some people develop a courageous mind and truly wish to practice well, they often give up halfway due to heavy karma or too many external interferences and temptations, falling back into the bitter sea of samsara.
Seeing these scenes, an indescribable deep compassion, like a tide, engulfed Dharmakara Bhikkhu's heart. He went before his kind teacher and knelt once again, making an earth-shattering vow. He said, "Today I make a grand vow, unsurpassed and incomparable in this world. When I attain Buddhahood in the future, I will surely establish a Buddha land that is the most pure, most adorned, most supreme, and most beautiful. In this pure land there will be no suffering or afflictions. All beings who are reborn there will be able to practice with ease, never regressing, until they attain Buddhahood. If this wish of mine cannot be fulfilled, if this world I build cannot become the best spiritual academy in the entire universe, then I vow not to attain Buddhahood."
When this vow was uttered, the 10 directions of the world trembled. A wish so firm, so specific, so resolute, made for the salvation of sentient beings, thus began a great epic of creating a pure land. And so, a great vow capable of shaking the universe was born. But, my dear friends, making a vow is easy. Fulfilling it is hard. What would this most supreme, most adorned Pure Land in Dharmakara Bhikshu's heart truly look like?
And how would he turn this unprecedented grand vow into a tangible reality, brick by brick?
Countless eons ago, that bhikkhu named Dharmakara, standing before his kind teacher, Lokasvaraja Buddha, made that heaven and earth-shaking supreme vow. He said he would create a pure land that was the most excellent, the most adorned, allowing all sentient beings to be easily reborn there, never to regress. These words were thunderous, astonishing. But a vow, after all, is just a vow. It's not a castle in the air, not merely drawing cakes to satisfy hunger. A perfect home needs more than just good wishes. It needs an incredibly precise, incredibly compassionate blueprint.
Dharmakara Bhikkhu deeply understood this principle. So after making his vow, he didn't immediately begin practice. Instead, he undertook something so grand in scale, it's hard for us to imagine. With the divine power and blessings of his teacher, Lokasvaraja Buddha, he began an investigation that spanned the entire universe. He went to see firsthand what other Buddhas' lands were like. How many did he see? 210 billion Buddha lands. 210 billion. What does that even mean? We spend our entire lives and can't even traverse our small earth. But he, like the most compassionate and meticulous chief architect, surveyed 210 billion different world models. He wasn't just casually observing. In each Buddha land, he painstakingly studied its strengths and discerned its shortcomings. He saw that some pure lands, though pristine and adorned, had too high a threshold for rebirth, requiring practitioners to reach extremely high states. For ordinary beings like us, that's simply beyond reach. He also saw that some pure lands were easy to enter, but still had distinctions of male and female, attractive and unattractive appearances, and even some less than perfect aspects, not being ultimately perfect. Dharmakara Bhikkhu was like a compassionate father, carrying all sentient beings in his heart, wanting to reserve all the best things for his children. He absorbed all the advantages of all the Buddha lands, like a bee gathering honey from 100 flowers, collecting them one by one into his heart.
And he discarded all possible flaws that might cause sentient beings even a trace of inconvenience or suffering. How long did this process last? A full 5 great kalpas. One great kalpa is a complete cycle of our world, from formation to dwelling, then decay, and finally emptiness. Throughout this immeasurably long time, he showed not the slightest laxity. He was simply deeply contemplating, meticulously designing, all to create a flawless, foolproof haven for us future beings. After these 5 kalpas of deep deliberation, a blueprint for an ultimately perfect Pure Land was finally completed in Dharmakara Bhikkhu's heart. He returned to his teacher, put his palms together respectfully, and thoroughly expounded the 48 specific regulations he had set for the future Buddha land. This is what we know today as the 48 Great Laos, which have benefited countless beings.
Friends, each of these 48 vows is like a beam of compassionate light, shining directly into the deepest darkness and fear of us ordinary beings. Let's savor a few of them, and you'll feel that unparalleled thoughtfulness and care. For example, the most crucial 18th vow. The sutra says, "If, when I attain Buddhahood,
sentient beings in the 10 directions with sincere faith and joy, desiring to be born in my land, and even if they only think of me 10 times, should not be born there, then may I not attain perfect enlightenment.
These words are worth 1,000 pieces of gold. Dharmakara Bhikkhu made this as a solemn pledge, using his future Buddhahood as collateral. He said, "When I attain Buddhahood, if anyone in any world with a sincere heart of faith and joy, that is, believing in me and loving this Dharma door from the depths of their being without a trace of doubt, and desiring to be born in my land, genuinely wishing to come to my land, and even just 10 thoughts, even if they spent their whole life in vain and only at the very end of their life had the yanfan, or affinity, to hear my name and recited Amitabha Buddha's name just 10 times, if I cannot guide such a person to my land, then I will not attain Buddhahood."
What a spirit! What compassion! He shouldered the most difficult part of the practice himself, leaving us with the simplest, most direct path of believing, making a vow, and chanting the name. Consider another example. What is our greatest fear in this world? It is aging, sickness, and death. So he vowed that all beings born in his land would have immeasurable life, no longer suffering the pain of separation and death. In this world, we have distinctions of beauty and ugliness, physical deformities, often leading to inferiority and vexation. So he vowed that all beings born in his land would have bodies of golden color, with identical appearances, all possessing the 32 marks of a great man, incomparably dignified, completely eradicating anxiety about appearance. What do we fear most? We fear that due to a moment of confusion, we might commit evil karma and fall into the 3 lower realms of hell, hungry ghosts, or animals to suffer. So he made the great vow that there would be no 3 evil realms in his land. Not only are they absent from his land, but even the names of the 3 evil realms cannot be heard, fundamentally eliminating any possibility of our falling. Each of these 48 vows is like a great physician, skilled in medicine, precisely identifying the root causes of suffering for beings in our Saha world, and then prescribing an effective remedy. This blueprint is truly a rescue plan, custom-made for us suffering beings. As the story reached this point, Sakyamuni Buddha's tone must have become even more compassionate and solemn. He said to Ananda, as if to all of us, "When Dharmakara Bhikkhu proclaimed these 48 great vows, the earth trembled, celestial flowers rained down, and Buddhas from the 10 directions all praised in unison. But, with a magnificent vow and a perfect blueprint, would this pure land of ultimate bliss appear automatically? Of course not." What Dharmakara Bhikkhu did next truly embodies what a bodhisattva's practice is. In the immeasurable, inconceivable, countless eons after making his vow, a unit of time infinitely longer than 5 kalpas, he began his truly arduous and exceptional practice. With unwavering focus, he extensively cultivated the 6 perfections and 10,000 practices, filling, nourishing, and realizing each vow he had made with boundless merits. This is like him not only designing a peerless palace, but personally mixing the clay, firing the bricks, carving the beams, and painting the pillars. Everything we will enjoy in the pure land of ultimate bliss its golden ground, its 7 jeweled ponds, its virtue wind and Dharma rain, its singing springs and Dharma sounds. None of it appeared out of thin air. It was truly and genuinely built by Dharmakara Bhikkhu through the accumulation of merit from his every word, every action, every thought. Every single recitation of Amitabha Buddha that we make holds the essence of his immeasurable practice and merit over those countless eons. Finally, diligence pays off. His vows and practice were perfectly fulfilled, his merits achieved. In a place 10 trillion Buddha lands away from our Saha world, a brand new, radiant, perfect world was born. Everything about it perfectly matched the blueprint described in the original 48 Great Vows, and even surpassed it. This world is called the Western Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss, and this great Dharmakara Bhikkhu finally attained supreme perfect enlightenment. His name is Amitabha Buddha, meaning immeasurable light and immeasurable life. At this point, this greatest act of creation in the universe was brought to a successful conclusion.
So, my dear friends, let's look back now at Vulture Peak, at Venerable Ananda's initial question. The answer has become utterly clear in the Buddha's profoundly moving narration. Shakyamuni Buddha and Amitabha Buddha are not unrelated. They are the most compassionate and greatest collaborators in the universe. Our original teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, is like a painstakingly diligent guide, and even more so, a compassionate admissions officer. He understands better than anyone how heavy the karmic obstacles are for us, sentient beings, living in this 5 turbidities and evil era. How weak our mental power is. To rely solely on our own strength, to cultivate step by step, and break free from the boundless bitter sea of samsara is truly as difficult as ascending to heaven.
Therefore, with his boundless wisdom and compassion, he pointed out to us this most secure, most swift, and most inconceivable special path. And Amitabha Buddha, the Lord of that Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss, is the receiver and headmaster who has already prepared everything. Based on the 48 vows he made in his causal stage, he has built that incomparably adorned, never regressing Pure Land Academy for us. He has paved that golden path leading to ultimate liberation.
He made a solemn vow, as long as we sincerely believe, vow to go and honestly chant his name, no matter what our spiritual capacity, he will definitely come personally to extend his hand and guide us. So when we put our palms together and from the depths of our hearts softly chant Amitabha Buddha, we are responding not only to Amitabha Buddha's great vow, but also to our original teacher, Sakyamuni Buddha's compassionate guidance. We are stepping onto this bridge of compassion, erected by these 2 awakened ones together for us ordinary beings, a bridge that spans birth and death, straight to the pure other shore.
So, after hearing this story, how do you understand this perfect cooperation between Buddha and Buddha? On your path of practice, what kind of strength and insights has this universally revered name brought you? Feel free to leave your stories and thoughts in the comments section. Let's encourage each other and walk forward together on this bright path.
At Sacred Lotus Glow, we believe that everyone has the ability to unlock their own inner light. Join us in lighting the fire of wisdom, spreading compassion, and living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Subscribe today so you don't miss any videos that help you find your inner peace and light.